What is up, you guys? It's a new week, so you know what that means. It's a new episode. I know that, we haven't seen each other in a while. I've been doing more highlights and kind of doing those type of voiceovers, but we're back. We're back. It's you and me again. And this episode will be strictly us talking about the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and the Diggs brothers, and kind of what I'm seeing from the situation outside looking in, of course, but also what I think could possibly be happening in the future with all of this that's been happening. So we're going to be talking interceptions. We're going to be talking Trayvon Diggs tweets, Stephon Diggs comments, the Buffalo Bills as a whole, and kind of what it looks like the issue really is. So get ready. I haven't been catching up on what's happening with the Buffalo Bills. We'll put it like this. Their record's 5-5. They're 2-5 in the AFC currently. They lost Monday Night Football against the Broncos 24-22. And a lot has happened, it seems like. You know, it seems like everything's intensified when you're losing. And I think for the Bills, what we're seeing, for a lot of people maybe outside looking in, is like a decline. It's like, we saw what you did when you guys faced off against Kansas City, a couple years ago in that AFC Championship, and it looked like you guys really could do something. And now it seems like we haven't seen that Bills team again. We had all this hope in Stephon Diggs and then Josh Allen, and it's like, what is going on? So last year when they lost, you had the video with Stephon Diggs going to Josh Allen, and they're kind of having a heated conversation, which Stephon Diggs was like, we're brothers, we're in the heat of the moment, we want to win. Like, that's what that is. I'm not going to change that. And then you have this year, and it seems like things are still becoming an issue. In the game, Stephon Diggs only had 3 catches for about 34 yards, no touchdowns. For any guy of his caliber who's a top 5 wide receiver in this league, you're going to be upset about that. And then you end up losing the game. The biggest things to take away is that Josh Allen had 2 interceptions in this game and a fumble when he didn't securely and safely give the ball to Cook on a run play. And then you start to look at some things and say, okay, well, Josh Allen also leads the league in interceptions with 11. He also has the most turnovers in the NFL at 14. That's a lot. And when we talk about other quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, for instance, when he has all these interceptions, it is, you got to trade him. We need a new guy. This isn't going to work. With Josh Allen, it's like sometimes a different tone. It's like, oh, well, are the interceptions really his fault? And it's like, some of these are his fault. Some of these, they do have drop passes a lot sometimes from the wide receivers, but some of this is him. Some of this is him throwing in the wrong directions. This is him not reading the defense properly. And if we're going to hold other quarterbacks accountable, we also have to do the same thing for Josh Allen. And that's okay. That doesn't take away from who he is and what we think he could be, but we have to acknowledge you lead the league in interceptions. That is a lot. 11 is a lot. The season we're still in the heat of it all. You're right. That's a problem. And everything that happened with the Buffalo Bills and the Broncos game, they essentially should have won that game. I mean, if you ask me, you can't blame the offense for all of it. Some of it is defense. I think because they're down Milano, they are lacking certain things. If you ask me, the biggest things that I think lost in the game was the defensive PI call that was called on Johnson. And then they had 12 men on the field when the Broncos missed the field goal the first time. And they got to re-kick it because there was 12 men on the field. If you have 12 men on the field, that's personnel, that's special teams. That's not necessarily an offensive issue. And some could say, well, there are other moments in the game as well that lead to those things where you don't want to be in that position where you lose games because of a penalty that allows someone to re-kick a field goal. Absolutely, I agree. The problem with all this is, though, it's a pattern for them where we make these asterisks and excuses, but they're still losing games. That's the thing. When you're losing, everything is amplified, and now everyone has to be under a microscope. If you ask me, there are questions about the Bills organization. The argument to me is not Stephon Diggs versus Josh Allen. It's not. To me, it's not. And it shouldn't be to you either, honestly. And when I say that shouldn't be the argument, let's give context. I got my laptop in front of me, so we're going to read off some stuff. If you're not familiar with what happened during the game and after the game, Trayvon Diggs, cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys, which is also Stephon Diggs' younger brother, ended up going on Twitter to kind of say how he felt about what he was seeing from his perspective. And because of his older brother, of course, they're very close. If you don't know the story, go look up the story of the Diggs brothers, and you'll understand why he was saying this. Now, Trayvon Diggs also had a season-ending injury, so he's out. He's at home watching these games, obviously. He's not on the field for the Cowboys currently. So he's watching what's going on. He sees that his brother only got, 34 yards, 3 receptions. That's not a lot for a guy that's an all-pro wide receiver. And Trayvon Diggs goes and tweets, man, 14 got to get up out of there. And he put a tired face emoji and a crying emoji. And it's funny because it's like he's kind of saying what we're all thinking, but then you wonder, is he relaying things that Stephon has told him? You're automatically going to think that if you have siblings. I'm a younger sibling, so as a younger sibling, I understand what Trayvon Diggs was doing. Like, it's very much like, man, this is something I feel like you wanted to say, so I'm just going to say it for you. It's fine. And that causes a lot because I think everyone's connecting the dots the same way. And then Tuesday morning, instead of him saying like, hey, sorry, he was like, nope. I'm about to double down on this. And he goes, let's not forget he didn't start going off till bro got there. And when he says he didn't start going off, he is referring to quarterback Josh Allen. Now, there are some other things that popped up, some other stats and statistics that did show that Josh Allen's touchdowns significantly increased once Stephon Diggs got there in 2020 to now. So that's a whole conversation, right? Statistically, he's not making that up. His completion rate was better. His attempt rate was better. Everything really did improve, yes. But the argument to me is not, did Stephon Diggs make Josh Allen better? It's more so, what is going on in the organization as a whole that you guys have all these pieces and seem to still not be able to put it all together? Stephon Diggs obviously had a comment on this. And he said, I'm not responsible for how other people feel. He said, anybody in this room for this man or a reporter, a player, even my own brother. I love my brother. And the space that my brother's coming from is my family. So you want to know how he feels? You got to take it up with him. And Stephon Diggs went on to say, my brother is looking at this from a fan perspective. He's not in this locker room. So we can't just take what he's saying as though I'm saying it. I've never said those things. He's literally just speaking on what he's seeing as he's watching the game. And he goes on to say, putting me in a position or me having a conversation with my brother, but that's outside. That's in-house family rules. But for me, I can't combat or answer all the questions as to why with people in the world saying X, Y, Z. He then goes on to explain, I haven't had a personal conversation with him when him equals his brother. My brother is watching football right now. He's not playing too much. Obviously, he's coming from more of a fan perspective, but that is my family. So I handle my family with the utmost respect, and I always hope that people treat it that way. So when people speak of my family, have a level of integrity as well, because I feel like if it was another family member or somebody else, obviously people kind of handle things however they want, but tread lightly when you're talking about my family. Now, as a person that's like looking at all of this and dissecting, there are key things you have to remember in this. He's saying that he hasn't had a personal conversation with his brother. We have to take his word for it because that's what he's saying. It is hard because they are super close, so it would be hard for me just to 100% think y'all haven't had a conversation or you haven't told him, like, why would you say that? Do I think Trayvon Diggs was relaying things that he felt his brother was feeling? Possibly so, yes. But like Stephon Diggs said, I never said these things. I can't control what my brother says. You have to ask him. But he makes it very clear to everyone that, hey, that's my family. I'll handle that. That's not your job. And even at the end for him to say, but tread lightly when you're talking about my family, that's a warning. Meaning, look, I get my brother said what he said. I'm telling you that we haven't spoken about it. I didn't tell him to do that. I can't control him. But don't lose your mind and start talking about my little brother, though. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with you. What he tweeted, me and him gonna deal with that. That ain't for you to put your comments and all these other things. And you gotta respect that. He's an older brother. Obviously, he's protecting his little brother. But he's making it very clear. It's really not that deep for me that Trayvon did this. We will handle it, but I didn't say these things, so you guys can't take this and run with it. He then goes on to reaffirm that forcing my way out of anywhere is not my goal. I don't feel like I have to at this point. I feel like I'm in a great space, a great place. I'm loved and I'm appreciated. At the end of the day, that's all I want. That's all anybody would want in any job that you do. The number one thing I think, he wants him and Josh Allen to be on the same page, which is we're winning. Winning cures all. You win, You overlook the 3 catches for 34 yards, no touchdowns. You overlook a lot of things when you're winning, but when you're losing, you do have to face everything. Do I think Stephon Diggs wants to be a Buffalo Bill? 100% I do. I don't think he desires to be traded or to leave. At this point in his career, I think he felt like Buffalo was going to be the best place for him, with the best quarterback with the best potential to give him what he desires, which is a Super Bowl. And I don't think he wants to jump from team to team. I don't think he's at that place. I think what he's saying is true. They gave him that contract for a reason. They wanted him there. He wanted to be there. He could have did all these other things, but he wants to be there. I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, if other people don't believe that, I don't think he's giving any reason that he doesn't want to be there. I mean, you see him on the sideline getting upset. That's passion to me. He's just showing some emotion to this game. But he's never really said he wanted to get out. I think, he wants things to change. I think he wants it to be better because they're losing. When you're losing, you want everything to change. But what he is saying, I do believe him. Do I think there's a conversation probably being had of him being traded? Possibly so, yes. I don't think he wants to leave Buffalo, but I do believe he wants to win. And that he is getting frustrated and tired that they're not making progress. You got there in 2020. It's 2023, about to be 2024, and it looks like y'all are still not at the place that you need to be to end up contending for a Super Bowl. That is a real life assessment that I think everyone can make and that he's making in real time. That I don't know what the trajectory of this really looks like for us, so I might have to explore other options. Do I think Trayvon Diggs is looking like, man, why wouldn't I want my brother in Dallas with me? That's a conversation. Wouldn't Jerry Jones want another wide receiver alongside with CeeDee Lamb? Yes, he would. So these are all factors in everything, but do I think Stephon Diggs is guiding this ship of trying to find his way out and doing all these things? I don't think so. I think it's just boiling down that way, but I think his desire is to be a Buffalo Bill. This is where it gets tricky because Buffalo, instead of assessing the real issue, which is it seems more organizational, your offense doesn't look in sync, your receivers don't look in sync, your quarterback doesn't look in sync. Instead of actually addressing those things and maybe commenting on their defense, they're like, you know what? Let's fire our offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. I don't understand why. If you ask me, the Buffalo Bills offense is not bad. They're losing games, but they're losing games by turnovers. Not because their offense is not good. 4th in QBR, 3rd in yards per play, 2nd and 3rd down conversion percentage, 3rd in red zone efficiency. They're also top 10 in a lot of other offensive categories, which you look at and say, okay, this is a very efficient offense. They're running pretty smoothly. So I don't think your offensive coordinator was the issue at all. So I didn't understand that. You fired Ken Dorsey, but I don't think he's the reason you're losing these games. I mean, he can't throw the ball for you. He can't run the ball for you. He's not throwing these interceptions. He's not doing these turnovers. He's calling the right plays. So now they have quarterback coach Joe Brady as the interim offensive coordinator for the Jets when they face the Jets on Sunday. Now, it's a big deal because Joe Brady is also one of those big quarterback coaches and offensive minds that helped that LSU team when Joe Burrow was there. And his kind of, I think, offensive philosophy is more spread offense. He definitely likes to utilize his receivers the most that he can. We saw that on full display when they won the national championship. He knows that he has a lot of receivers that he could use in weapons, so he's going to allow Josh Allen most likely to throw the ball even more than what they've probably been doing. But again, that's not really the problem. The problem is that when he throws the ball, he's getting interceptions. He had 2 in this game against the Broncos. That's not Ken Dorsey's fault. But we're going to see what happens with Joe Brady. So they asked Diggs, obviously, how do you feel about all of this? What does this look like? It's only really been a couple of days, so it's kind of like hard to gauge. He said that Brady's energy, I'm more so looking forward to game day. I'm super excited. I think it might be what we need. So he didn't really comment on like, hey, this is the best choice for us that we have Joe Brady now as the OC. He kind of is just like, I don't know yet. We got to see what this all looks like, and that, again, winning cures all. So we'll see what happens. They have a note here that says Diggs has been held under 100 receiving yards in 4 straight games after recording 100 receiving yards in 5 of the first 6 games of the year. So he's not actually really, he's not performing at the way that we're used to, and some of this is he can't perform unless he's getting the ball. So there's a lot of other conversations to be had. I don't think it's like, is Stephon Diggs making Josh Allen better? It's more so what is going on with the Bills? holding Josh Allen accountable for being the quarterback that he is and the decisions that he's making, because as much as we put wins on quarterbacks, you have to put the losses as well. And I think that's the issue. Once the Bills can figure out their problem and get back on the winning side of this, maybe we overlook a lot of things. But if they find themselves losing again against the Jets, which everyone has an opinion about the Jets, but even Robert Saleh has said this, their defense has been very prominent and very efficient and consistent in stopping a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. And the stats really do back that up. So they're in for another battle defensively where the Jets are going to be like, okay, like, let's see what you got. We know you love interceptions. You got Sauce Gardner out there on the outside on the island. We're going to see what you're going to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how they change offensively going into this game on Sunday against the Jets. But again, I don't think this is a Diggs issue. I don't think the tweets are the issue. I don't think it's more of a Josh Allen offense organizational issue, if you ask me. What is going on? Why are these interceptions happening? Organizationally, do you feel like you've lost the locker room? Is there no culture being established here? It just doesn't look the same. So those are the issues to address, not Stephon Diggs and his brother in the tweets or firing Ken Dorsey. All right, you guys, that's it for this week. Tell me how you feel about the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, the whole entire situation. What are you seeing from it from your perspective? Which we're all fans, right? We're looking outside in, but sometimes that does kind of give you a more unbiased opinion about everything, but obviously we don't know everything that's going on. Where do you see the Bills ending up being when the season's all said and done? Do you see them winning Sunday against the Jets? What do you think they need to fix offensively? Do you think it is a Josh Allen problem? Do you think it's more of a culture in the organization? Do you think Ken Dorsey was the problem? Show me what you're kind of seeing from everything, and let's talk about it in the comments. But again, I always appreciate y'all coming through every week to come talk sports with me. It literally never goes unnoticed. I appreciate it, and I'm always immensely grateful. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Come back to the channel next week, and also share on all platforms and tell everyone to come through. Again, I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll be seeing you next week.